Hey besties, Monica Ferguson here and welcome to World Domination. This is a safe space for absolute legends who are bold enough and brave enough to go within, to recreate their belief system, to aim high, to chase their wildest dreams and become everything that they are destined to be. This is a space for people who are serious about growth, about healing. We talk about all things mind, body, spirit, and we have the courage to go further than most people even dare to dream. Welcome, let's get into it. Hey besties, and welcome to this week's episode of World Domination. I'm Monica, or Mon, and I'm really looking forward to this episode where we're going to really get into your relationship with yourself, putting yourself on the pedestal, queen vibes, king vibes, right? Something that we have practiced the opposite of for our entire lives, let's be real. And it is something that we really have to learn how to do, right? Because there are so many layers to this. There's like the societal conditioning part where we feel like everyone else is better than us, and we're sort of taught like, tall poppy syndrome, like we don't want to stand out, we don't want to be too much. In order to fit in with the tribe, as it were, it's better to kind of shrink ourselves and stay humble and small, versus actually really learning to love and value and honor ourselves and learn how to prioritize ourselves. And because then there's all this other stuff, right? The people pleasing stuff, there's the deepest subconscious stuff that we've learned. And so I'm just going to really speak into this because this is where life changes for us. And it is work in the beginning, right? Of course, when we have spent a lifetime criticizing ourselves, hating ourselves, judging ourselves, holding ourselves back, feeling unworthy, feeling not good enough, our mind is wired for that. It literally is wired for that. So it's quite a jump, right? To go from all of a sudden, hating ourselves and feeling so unworthy, and then learning to actually value ourselves and love ourselves. And there's a real process that happens. And so I might just share kind of some of the things that I've learned on this journey and that I wish I knew in advance, because at the end of the day, you are the main character of your life. You are the CEO. You are not here to bend over backwards and betray your boundaries in order to keep the peace with someone else. And so often this is what we're doing, right? Because the alternative is scary. Like, many of us have had or currently have a lot of toxic people in our lives. And we've kind of created a strategy on how to survive, right? But that survival strategy is not the strategy that is going to help us thrive. It's the exact opposite, completely different frequencies, right? So given that you are here and you willingly clicked into a podcast talking about putting yourself on the pedestal, I know that something has already happened in you where you're just like, you know what, screw this. Like, I'm done. I am so sick of just getting older and watching my life go by and not getting the results that I want, or the love or the happiness or the joy or whatever it is, right? Because it all stems from our relationship with ourselves. Every single thing in our external world is a reflection of what is going on within us, right? So what we tolerate, for example, is showing us what's going on within us. Now, the first thing that I would really love for you guys to just contemplate a little bit is, who do you think that you are? Like, who do you deep down, who do you feel that you actually are? Not this like minimized version, watered down version that you might have created. But if you weren't worried about being judged or about what other people think, or, thinking that you're up yourself or whatever, if you were truly honest with yourself, what does your heart say? When you think about yourself, who are you? Like, who are you on this planet? What are you here to do? Because you already know, that you're special. I know that, or else you would be here right now. Simply, you would not be here. There's a part of you that was like, oh, pedestal, yes. Because that part of you knows who you truly are. and who you are actually called to be. And this is the thing, we come into this life and we get conditioned, we get programmed based on the sort of parents that we had, the sort of childhood that we have, the relationships we have, all these circumstances that happen to us and things that we experience gives us this model of the world, right? And we create a set of beliefs. And if we don't change that belief system, we will continue to attract and create those same circumstances over and over and over and over again until we say, enough, I've had enough. I'm done getting treated like shit by people. I'm done bending over backwards and being a people pleaser. I'm done putting everyone else's needs before my own. I'm done just surviving and struggling and barely getting by. I am here for so much more, right? This is the energy that we all need to be in, because that's the truth of who you really are, you know? And honestly, this will be quite a contemplative podcast, and I really invite you all to reflect on your bigger beliefs, whether you're spiritual, whether you're religious, whatever it is, but your connection to God, your connection to the bigger part of us. This is where it comes in, right? Because it's hard to separate yourself from everything, because we're all one, right? Like you can't separate yourself from God. Like it doesn't make sense. And that's often where all of this uncomfortable stuff comes from. If we think that we're unworthy, we're not good enough, it's like, hang on, but you were literally created and chosen. Like, how do you think you got here? It was just some random coincidence that, you know, what is that 1 in 400 trillion chances that you were born? You think that's random, that you were here with your exact personality, your exact traits, your exact mannerisms? It's not an accident. It's not an accident that no one else on earth has your fingerprint, and no one else in the past or the future ever will. You are a like handmade, one of a kind creation. And until you can really like accept that, you might think that you're just one random person on this planet when actually you were chosen and created to be you. And so when I speak about, no one else can do what you can do. No one else can do what only you are here to do. I mean that from like the bottom of my soul, like literally no one else, past, present or future, will ever be able to be a better you than you. That is how we know that you're worthy. That is how we know that you're chosen. That is how we know that you matter, because you simply wouldn't exist if you didn't, right? If you weren't that important and needed and chosen on this planet, you simply would not exist. You would not have been created. And this is such a flip from so much of what we're conditioned with, right? If we zoom, like when we zoom out and we look at the bigger picture like that, it's quite an easy-ish, concept to sort of understand, right? But when we zoom back in and we're looking at day-to-day life, and you've got all this pressure and all this stuff and all this crazy likeness that we've got to look a certain way and be a certain way, and there's this invisible checklist, and we put all this pressure on ourselves that we have to earn it, we have to achieve, we have to be better, da-da-da-da. None of that is true. We're actually already starting from a space of being literally created by God. How much more worthy could you be? I don't care, and I don't mean this in a I don't care way. I don't care what other people's bullshit has taught you. That is not true. You cannot change the fact that you are a literal creation of God on this planet at this time. And I'm not sure if you've noticed, but the world is on fire right now. And so the fact that you're listening to this right now is not by accident. And I've been very intentional as I've been creating this and putting it out into the world, that it finds the right people, right? So here's what I know about you. You are a beautiful soul, like a huge heart, pure, kind, intelligent. You've probably been through a lot of shit, and it's beaten you down, and it's made you feel like you're not good enough, you don't have enough to offer, imposter, right? So this episode is to call BS on all of that and to hold up a mirror for you and remind you that You are so needed and so special and so important. And so this is your time now. I have goosebumps. Oh, I have goosebumps, guys. But this is our time to remember who we are and whose we are. Okay? So if I go back to my original question, if you tune into your heart and ask yourself, who am I really? Without the fear, without the doubts, without the limits. Who am I really? Right? Just sit with that. What comes to mind? Because it's going to be quite a big thing. Or you're here to do something to help people, or, you know, you're whatever it is. I don't want to actually put words in your mouth. But the whole point is I want you to get out of your ego. Because remember too, this conversation is going to be a real dance between like zooming out at the big picture and zooming in at the human, because we have to work with both, right? In order for us to actually work on a big scale, at a big level, we have to master the human. We have to master the mind. And this is why I'm so obsessed with the subconscious mind when it comes to creating change and getting results. Because your subconscious mind is there to keep you safe and alive. And it's actually working against your growth, right? Because it's there to keep you safe. It does not like the unfamiliar. It does not like you stepping out into unfamiliar territory where there is potential threat, danger, etc. It doesn't know what's coming, therefore it feels scary because it doesn't know how to protect you. So your literal own mind will try to pull you back. Okay. So this is really important to know, because in order for us to truly step into who we are called to be, who we are put on this planet to be, we must learn how to master our own mind first, right? How to work with fear, how to create safety in our body so that we can actually move through those really uncomfortable moments of being in the void, having no idea how things are going to work out, being able to trust that things are coming in and happening for us, because it is, right? The law of attraction is always working. Every single thing, like every second, and every single thing that comes into our life, we have attracted in. And remember that 95% of our mind is subconscious. So it's not those stupid, those toxic positive people that are just like, just think positive thoughts all the time. The part of your mind that thinks those thoughts is the conscious part. That's 5% of your mind. What we're really interested in is the 95% that is subconscious, right? So if you learned, just for context, if you learned as a child, like I did, for example, that if I did not betray myself and put everyone else's needs first, there would be horrible consequences. So how do you think that rolled out into my adult life? Right? I was a fixer. I was someone who tried to save everyone. I gave. I had no boundaries. I was always trying to earn love, earn approval, earn validation. If I do more, then I can hit my goal. If I achieve more. Now, of course, that's coming from a scarcity belief. And you attract what you are, right? So because I believed inherently I was not enough, guess what? I can't outwork that, right? That's what I'm attracting in. So when I started to understand, I started to flip this, right? And understand that, oh my gosh, I'm actually, this is actually not who I am. This is who I've been conditioned to be. I'm not some doormat, loser, unworthy piece of shit, which is what I thought I was for a long, long time, because of how I was treated, because of how I was conditioned. And I didn't have people in my life saying to me, Mon, you're so amazing and you're so beautiful and talented and we believe in you. I had the opposite. So it took me a long time. It took me a long time. But when I started to understand, oh my God, my worth, my value, was never something I had to earn. I just am that. And then I started to view my life and everything that had happened through a very different lens, right? Which was all these things that had happened to me that weren't my fault, and it wasn't fair. And from that point, that's when I really started to cultivate self-compassion, self-love. I wanted to pour into myself. I wanted to help myself heal. I wanted to take back my power. and 180 my whole story, right? So that I could actually live the life that I started to really believe that I deserved. And but because we attract what we are, right? So this works even in our own thoughts. So if you believe you are not good enough, you're going to even attract circumstances and thoughts that confirm that. So if you genuinely believe like, yeah, I'm not good enough, I'm a loser, I'm a failure, you're not going to have thoughts like, I'm so amazing and I'm so worthy and I believe in myself. You're just not. And New Zealand, we have such a problem with this. And this is really, okay, so there was a 15-minute intro. You guys, this should bring your pajamas, friends. This is going to be a long one. But you know what? Like, this is really where I wanted to go with this, because with my New Zealand coaching clients, especially, our culture here is appalling for this. That the first thing that comes out of everyone's mouth is, like, they go through this process, right? And I really push them to like tap into, without the ego, without the fear, who do you really know you are? What are you really here to do? Like, what do you really desire? And they come out with this like beautiful dream, with this idea. And then their very first reaction is, but what are people going to think? And it's like we've learned how to dim ourselves, how to shrink ourselves, because we've seen what happens to people. And that is absolute bullshit, and we're done with that. Because guess what? If I thought that I was a worthless idiot, would I have got up to make this podcast today? No. Would I have created the business that helps people? No. And it's not from a place of arrogance. It's like there is such a difference between being arrogant and egotistical versus really embodied in the truth of knowing who we are and having really healthy self-love and self-worth. There's such a difference. But the thing is that in order for us to actually create change in any area of our life, we first must accept and believe that we are worthy, that we are good enough, that we matter, that there's something special about us. And I know a lot of people really struggle with this, and they hate it, and they don't want to think about like what makes them special, or how they matter, how they're unique and what they bring to the world. Because we've practiced hating ourselves for so long, when you first start thinking about this, it can be really triggering, right? And I've seen people literally try to distract me and change the subject and run away. And I know one of my coaches years ago said to me, like, give me like in the middle of a conversation, she was like, give me 20 reasons about why you're like an amazing coach right now. Go. I was like, what? I'm like dripping with sweat, because I had not practiced that. I had not practiced valuing myself and celebrating myself and believing in myself, right? And you get a lot of pushback. We see it, right? Like, oh, you're so up yourself. Like, okay, well, how's that working out for you to hate yourself? Like, we've done that for a long time. Are you getting the results that you want? Because if you hate yourself, you're going to attract people that hate you. You're going to tolerate bullshit. You're going to have shit money, shit health, shit relationships, shit friends, because life is a mirror, right? You can't attract incredible love in people while you yourself are beating yourself up. You have to be your biggest cheerleader, not your biggest enemy. That's the whole point. Okay, so this whole thing about putting ourselves on the pedestal, it sounds like a really nice idea, right? And now that we've actually got into it, it is a lot of deep diving into our belief systems, our behavior, our patterns. Why do we do certain things? Why do you settle for that? Why do you tolerate struggle? Why do you tolerate shitty friends that don't show up for you? Why do you tolerate crap relationships? Or why do you have walls up so high that no one can get in? Right? Because underneath all of this is the gold, right? But we're going to have to go through some of the uncomfortable stuff to make those subconscious patterns conscious, so that then we have the power to change it. And this is what most people don't want to do, right? Because when we talk about putting ourselves on the pedestal, when I speak about it, it isn't an ego thing. It's not about thinking you're better than other people. It's about prioritizing yourself and your needs first. It's the old oxygen tank on the plane, oxygen mask on the plane thing, right? You've got to put your own mask on first. And I think this is such a program that we need to just remove, is this thing that like we have to serve others first. And I can hear a lot of people be like, you're so selfish. Well, actually, no, I'm not. It was really selfish of me to try to run a business and show up with the people in my life from an empty tank. The version of me that was burning herself out, trying to earn her worth, trying to feel good enough, constantly busy because I could not sit with my own feelings and thoughts because they were so painful. The version of me that needed to heal but wasn't doing it yet because I didn't have the tools, that was selfish. But how do you think I show up for people in my life now? When I take the time to pour into myself, mind, body, spirit, when I take the time to work on my dreams and my goals, when I say no to things that I don't want to do, when I only agree to do things that I want to do, when I have really good boundaries and I can communicate them with love, right? But how do you think I show up for people in my life from that kind of energy? It's a very different experience, right? I'm present. I have a full cup. So you can only imagine the difference in that energy, right? To me, that is what makes me not selfish. And the fact that we think that it's selfish to put ourselves first is highlighting a way bigger issue to me. And if that's where your mind went, I invite you to look at that. Like, do you feel selfish when you put yourself first? When you look after yourself, when you take time for yourself? Because this happens with so many people, right? Like I remember talking to a friend about this and she just would not sit down and relax one day. And I was visiting her at home and she was like doing all the housework and stuff. And I was like, stop. Like, what are you doing? This is your one day off. And she was like, oh, I can't rest until everything's done. And I was like, what? I was like, these are not even things that need to be done right now. But it's like, who taught you that? And she was like, oh, my mum. She watched her mum like burn herself out her whole life doing everything for everyone else and then being an exhausted mess and feeling like she had to earn rest. She had to earn time for fun and for play. Okay? We don't. When we zoom out again and we come at life from the space of knowing I'm actually worthy now. So because I know that I'm worthy now and I don't have to prove anything or earn anything, who do I choose to be from this place of worthiness? Because you know what? When you come at life from love like that, you always choose to be love. When people remember that, oh my God, I'm actually already enough and I always was, and I spent my whole life trying to earn it and trying to prove it to everyone else because I was taught a bunch of stuff in my life and I had a bunch of experiences that made me feel like I wasn't enough. But now that I remember that I'm enough, I want to help other people. I want to pour all this energy into something creative. I want to go and start that school or write that book or create that program or make the business or really focus on like the relationships in my life and healing stuff. It's never like, it's never anything negative. It never is, because again, like attracts like. So when you're operating from love, you're thinking loving thoughts, right? So the best thing that we can do, the most selfless thing that we can do, is pour so much love into ourselves first that it overflows. That is the magic. So when you put yourself on the pedestal, right? So instead of betraying yourself to keep someone else happy, what if you chose yourself? What if you lovingly held a boundary? Now, here's the thing. We have to learn how to deal with the consequences of this, right? Especially if we're around toxic people right now. So be smart, and use your discernment, But the idea that I want to put into your head is to remind you that you deserve to be on the pedestal. You are so worthy and deserving of love and respect and kindness and friendship and abundance and joy. And that needs to come from yourself first. right? No one else, it can't come from anyone else until you're willing to give it to yourself first. And so the thing is, right, that if we have been practicing cycles where we give away all of our time, we're always there for everyone else, even though we're exhausted, we're putting everyone else first, we've made no time for ourselves, our happiness, our health, whatever it is, then, and all of a sudden we switch up, like, the people that are used to us being like that are probably not going to like it. And this is why a lot of people don't want to change, right? Because they don't want to deal with people and some of the stuff that can happen. And I totally understand. That. But the thing that I think about is that healing and growth and, taking our power back in our life is very uncomfortable in the beginning. And there's a lot of stuff that we need to look at and confront and face that is maybe very painful and hard to deal with. But it's a short-term thing for a long-term gain. What is the alternative? Betraying ourselves forever? It's not going to change. Nothing is going to change until we change, right? So when we decide, I have had enough of average, I've had enough of settling for so much less than I desire and deserve, and we choose to put ourselves on the pedestal, which means that you check in with yourself. You're checking in with yourself on, where are your boundaries? Are your needs being met in specific situations? Is this actually what you want, or are you tolerating less than what you want because of other reasons? Fear, for example, or that whole unworthy thing that can sneak in. Putting ourselves on the pedestal means becoming your own best friend. It means you look out for yourself. It means understanding that you cannot serve from an empty cup. But even beyond that, you deserve your own love and kindness and respect first. Because it's a privilege to be in your life. Did you know that? I know a lot of people forget this. And this actually makes me want to cry. Oh, there's someone specific that this is for, because it makes me want to cry. So I don't think I've ever cried in a podcast before. But if you need to hear this and just be reminded, right, that it is such a privilege to be in your life. And I know that there are so many people that made you feel like that wasn't the case. There are so many people who hurt you and betrayed you, and you did not deserve it. And they took advantage of you because they were so wounded and toxic within themselves. And that was not fair, and that was not okay. And it was not a reflection of you and who you are. It is such a privilege to be around you, to have your love, your support, your energy, your integrity. Like, there is no one else like you on the planet. And literally, we can circle back to where I started. No one else on the planet will ever have your fingerprint, your DNA, none. You are one of a kind. So remember that. Remember what a privilege it is to know you. What an incredible friend and person you are. Next time you betray your own standards. Next time you let someone treat you less than you deserve. Because you deserve the whole world. So put yourself back on the pedestal, bestie. It's where you belong. It's where you've always belonged. And to heal that stuff that gets in the way, there are so many podcasts that I've already created around this. Literally there are whole podcasts that are like masterclasses on how to overcome the fear, how to understand where that resistance is coming from, why the mind is trying to pull you back. Because remember, the mind wants you in the comfort zone. So just because you feel resistance, it doesn't mean that it's not for you. It means that you're moving out of your comfort zone. Okay. And so there are a couple of things that I can do to help as well if you want to go deeper. Obviously, my one-on-one coaching is there. I have focus sessions. So if there's like a specific block or a specific area of your life you want to look at, we can do a single session and just really like focus in on that one thing. I have monthly coaching packages for people that want to go way deeper and like we will completely create like the vision for your whole life, very holistic, working through all these things at a really deep level, understanding those things, what comes in the way, what to do about it, how to calm the fear and all of those things. And it's so amazing to be able to walk with people through this and help them, put themselves back on the pedestal. And then I also have my unworthy beyond measure hypnosis. So because we're dealing with the subconscious mind, right? When we're trying to put in a new program, we need repetition. So this hypnosis I created specifically to help with the I am, feeling not worthy and not good enough. So get that. That's on my online store right now. And the last thing is my self-study program, Untamed, which really, really helps. If you like typing or journaling, it's a mixture of like practical exercises where I give you prompts and things to reflect on, as well as teaching you things. But it will take you through this whole process of understanding why things have come up in your life, like where it's come from, how your mind has actually been trying to look after you. So it helps you to take off all that shame and that fear and like forgive yourself for things that you might be beating yourself up about. And then actually walks you through step by step how to create your goal plan that works at the subconscious level, and strategies to keep the momentum going in the future. So you can download that now as well on my online store. So I hope that this has landed, because this is where your life and everything begins to change when you put yourself back on that pedestal, or even put yourself on the pedestal for the first time maybe. This is where everything changes, because your life is a mirror for you. So when you choose yourself like that, everything shifts. The friends, the love, the money, the health, the happiness, everything starts to move to reflect that back to you. And this is where we all need to be, in our power, owning how special we are and how worthy we are, exactly as we are. And I hope that you can apply this, because we're waiting for you. Thanks for tuning in, besties. I will see you next week. And that is a wrap. Thank you for showing up for yourself, for being here, and please let me know your aha moments. I want to hear all about them. For extra support, make sure you're following me on TikTok and Instagram at @TheMonicaFerguson. Check out the School of Greatness for self-study courses. And of course, if you want one-on-one mentoring, just DM me and I would love to have a chat with you. Go and slay the day. Thank you for being you. See you soon.